Well, you just beat the #1 player in the world, okay? And by the way, this ain't the first time you beat her. You beat her in 2023. You beat her again this time around. Aryna Sabalenka, that's her name. I'm bringing her up because even though she was the #1 player in the world, I don't think she should be that way now, not after this loss. It should be you. But I'm asking, what is her problem?
As the female flag bearer, Gauff, who is just 20 years of age, will be the first U.S. tennis player to carry the flag. The honor comes 3 years. Let me put it to you this way. First of all, congratulations to Coco Gauff. She deserves it. I'm rooting for her. She's a champion now. I love it. It's a beautiful, beautiful.
The studio lights flare. The crowd hushes. And then Stephen A. Smith leans forward, his voice sharp, his eyes locked on the camera. "Let me tell you something," he says. "You just beat the #1 player in the world, okay? But this ain't the first time. You beat her before in 2023, and you beat her again. Aryna Sabalenka, that's her name. But she shouldn't be #1 now. Not after this. It should be Coco Gauff."
Well, you just beat the #1 player in the world, okay? And by the way, this ain't the first time you beat her. You beat her in 2023. You beat her again this time around. Aryna Sabalenka, that's her name. I'm bringing her up because even though she was the #1 player in the world, I don't think she should be that way now, not after this loss. It should be you. But I'm asking, what is her problem?
Coco was down 4-1 before rallying to come back to win in 3 sets. She won her second Grand Slam title and became the first American to win the French Open since Serena Williams.
The words hit like thunder across the sports world. Stephen A. wasn't holding back. Not today, not after what he'd seen. Because behind Coco Gauff's brilliance on the court, there was something else, a shadow of disrespect. A few offhand comments from Sabalenka, caught on camera, analysed by fans, whispered through the headlines. And Stephen A., live on national television, decided to say what millions were already thinking: enough is enough. This wasn't just another segment on First Take, it was a reckoning. A moment when one of the most powerful voices in sports media stood up, not just for a player, but for what she represented, for class, for composure, for a new kind of greatness. And at the center of it all was a 21-year-old champion rewriting the future of American tennis, Coco Gauff. It began right after the French Open final, a match that had the tennis world buzzing. Sabalenka had lost in straight sets, and emotions were high. In her post-match press conference, she made comments that many fans interpreted as dismissive toward Coco Gauff. "She played well," Sabalenka said, her tone flat. "But I wasn't at my best. Everyone knows that." Those words might sound ordinary, but tone changes everything.
Anytime I'm mentioned in a stat line with her, it feels surreal, it's crazy. I didn't realize it had been that long, but just to put Americans back in that Rolling Girls conversation means a lot. And yeah, hopefully I can win many more, and hopefully some other of my peers can.
Clips flooded social media, slowed down, zoomed in, the smirk, the shrug, the subtle eye roll, and the internet lit up like wildfire. Because to millions, this wasn't confidence, it was condescension. And Stephen A. Smith had something to say about it. The next morning, First Take opened with the headline, "Sabalenka's comments on Gauff, fair or disrespectful?" Stephen A. didn't wait. "I don't care how you slice it," he began. "When you lose, you give credit, period. That's how champions talk. Coco Gauff didn't just play well, she dominated. She controlled every rally, every moment, every emotion. And instead of acknowledging that, Sabalenka came up with excuses." He leaned back, looked around the studio, and raised his voice. "That's not class, that's ego. And that's the difference between talent and greatness. Coco Gauff, she's the future, she's the example." The segment went viral within hours. Clips of Stephen A. passionately defending Gauff spread across X, YouTube, and TikTok. Fans around the world echoed his sentiment. Finally, someone was calling it out. But to understand why Stephen A.'s defense hit so hard, you need to understand Coco Gauff's journey. From the age of 15, Coco was labelled a prodigy. She defeated Venus Williams at Wimbledon, broke into the top 10 before she could even rent a car, and became a symbol of poise under pressure. Yet, her path was never easy. Critics said she was too emotional, too young, too untested. But every time, Coco answered the only way she knew how, by winning. And 2024 proved it once and for all. She didn't just win titles, she transformed the sport. Her composure, her humility, her connection with fans. It reminded people of Serena's power and Naomi Osaka's calm, all rolled into one. So when Sabalenka's comments came, it wasn't just about tennis, it was about respect. It was about what Coco stood for and what some couldn't stand seeing in her rise. As the clip spread, major networks picked up the tension. ESPN ran headlines. Tennis Channel replayed the press conference in slow motion, and the debate grew louder. Was Sabalenka simply emotional, or was there something deeper? Stephen A. doubled down. "Listen," he said on his podcast later that week, "you can lose and still be gracious. You can fall short and still show respect. That's what separates champions from contenders. Coco showed the world how to win, and Sabalenka showed how not to lose." It was blunt, it was raw, and fans loved every second. Even tennis legends like Chris Evert and Billie Jean King hinted agreement on social media, praising Coco's maturity and mental strength. The conversation had shifted. No longer was it just about the match, it was about character. Meanwhile, Coco Gauff didn't respond directly. No press conference statements, no social media jabs. Instead, she let her game do the talking. A week later, she stepped back onto the court, laser-focused, calm, unstoppable. Every forehand, every return, every serve. It felt like a message in motion. And when reporters asked her about Sabalenka, Coco simply smiled. "I don't focus on the noise," she said. "I just focus on improving. The rest takes care of itself." That was all she needed to say. One sentence, and she won the crowd all over again. Stephen A. replayed that clip on First Take days later. He smiled, nodded, and said, "See that? That's class. That's grace under fire. That's greatness." He pointed at the screen, leaned forward again, and spoke directly to viewers. "You see that young woman right there? That's how you handle adversity. That's how you respond when someone tries to diminish you. You rise higher. You let your results speak louder than their words." The clip became one of the most shared moments of the week. Fans across the US and around the world flooded comment sections with messages like, "Coco doesn't need to clap back. Her racket does the talking." Stephen A. just said what everyone was thinking. And just like that, a media moment became a movement. Coco Gauff's rise wasn't just about sports, it was symbolic. She represented a generation of young athletes demanding respect, not just for their skill, but for their character. A generation that doesn't wait for permission to shine. And Stephen A.'s passionate defense of her wasn't just commentary, it was cultural affirmation. He recognized what she meant to the game, to young fans, and to every player who'd ever been underestimated. "Coco Gauff is not the next Serena," he said later. "She's the first Coco, remember that?" That quote would trend for days. To her credit, Sabalenka later clarified her comments, saying she didn't mean disrespect, just frustration with her performance. And in a moment of humility, she congratulated Coco publicly on her continued success. But by then, the message had already resonated. The tennis world had witnessed not just a rivalry, but a lesson in grace, maturity, and voice. Coco Gauff had handled everything, from criticism to chaos, with quiet power. And Stephen A. Smith, never one to mince words, had amplified her story when it mattered most. As the segment ended, Stephen A. looked directly into the camera one last time. "You can't silence greatness," he said. "You can challenge it, you can doubt it, you can try to downplay it, but in the end, greatness speaks." And Coco Gauff just delivered another masterpiece. The audience erupted. And around the world, millions of fans nodded in agreement. Because sometimes destruction isn't about shouting louder, it's about standing taller. And in this battle of words and class, Coco Gauff didn't just win on the court, She won the world's respect.